I'm going to come to most of the analysis this far seems to be pointing your principal as sharing some affinity with Mr. P2B. But before I come to that, with all you've said, incorruptible as it has appeared, there has been this scandalous impression of him. Knowing him and knowing what you know about him, seeing what you've seen about him, how would you address that?
Good. Which one of them are you talking about?
The obvious impression that he has a wrong or let's say less than perfect relationship with his workers. There was this instance of stripping his workers naked.
Okay. I hope you know the story properly. You know, I talked of Gbagi being an eagle. And you know, as eagle, falcons want to descend on the eagle. But you see, the higher you fly, the more the falcons drop dead. With the you know, that case was also tested in the court. I hope you're aware. And it was dismissed as baseless. And by the way, they did not say that my principal stripped people naked, but that he sent people to strip the workers naked. It is fallacious. It's not true. We know from what God, the team went to court and so on. I'm from the kind of man I know. Gbagi has 6 daughters. Permit me to be personal. What is he going to gain when he say go and strip those people? That story was contorted by some government officials who are still in government. They know themselves. And that's why discussing it, they'll be feeling terribly guilty that they've messed up a man. It's like, I don't want by any standard to compare Gbagi with Jesus, but you remember, there's this class and inferiority kind of thing, complex. When they saw Jesus reading and doing so many things, they said, who is this? Is he not the son of a carpenter, son of Joseph, the man of this? You know, trying to put him down. That's what that story is. The purpose of that story is what is happening now. They wanted to demarcate him, to demarcate Gbagi so that he will not appear at all. That is what is happening. So it is not true. That story is not true by any standard. And he went to the extent of putting a price and say, anybody who says he has not paid him salary or he has done him bad, let him come, he will give 10 million. For more than 1 year now, nobody has surfaced. Nobody has suffered. So, like I said, it was a contortion of people in government right now to demarcate him, to demarcate the ego. But you can't demarcate Gbagi. He keeps on soaring and soaring. And by the grace of God, when he enters Asaba, Osadebe house, you people will see the difference within 6 months.
So, that said, recently there have been this impression of him sharing the same disposition of not using private funds, public fund for personal aggrandizement or personal use. He's been in public management, he's been a minister, he's been in state service when it was Bender State, even Delta State at the earlier part of it. Some describe him as somebody who is serious with responsibility and does not believe in bribing. What affinity do you think he shares with Mr. P2B?
Yes, a great affinity. Let me elucidate a little bit. During Kefas, you know, that was military interregnum, he was made we had a DDPA, Delta Development Property Authority, that had gone to zero. They had gone bankrupt. And he was put there. And within a short of time, he revived the place and had excess. Do you know what happened? Kefas wanted to sell Delta Development Property Authority. I'm told Gbagi will give him 250 million. And then to give to others, let him, and the man say, he called Kefas, you are a thief. That's a civilian calling a military, governor. You are a thief. How many Deltans have that courage? If his hands were soiled, will he dare that? And he refused and sent Kefas packing. So that's that. So that's the kind of man that one. So that's the incorruptibility of this man. So he believes that the money that he don't, do you know that even when he was Minister of State, okay, he introduced 10 universities. Is it 10 or more? I can't remember vividly, permit me. But he brought also some secondary school. One of them is in Uele South, Federal. And he was there for barely 1 year plus. So is that the kind of man you think? He is incorruptible. He has no time to take government money and do. He never rode official car because he believes that the government cars are not as comfortable as his car. You know him and you know the kind of cars he rides. That's the man Baggy. It's an ego. It's an exceptional, he's an apple of God's eye. He's blessed. He's wealthy. Let me put it like that. And he's never been invited once by EFCC. So imagine somebody's doing all that kind of business. He's into security, he's into oil, he's into hoteling, name it. He's there, employing many Nigerians. So you can imagine if he has government money to do government business, you will see how Delta will take over all states. I hope you are aware that Delta is the richest state in Nigeria. If you don't know, go and find out. I hope you're also aware that Delta State is richer than about 42 countries in the world. But 40 countries. Can you say that what is happening now, replicates this wealth? You cannot say it. You cannot say it. So where is the money going to? Where is the money going to? That is the issue. What we have on ground, is it commensurate with the money we get? If he enters there, you'll be surprised that every money he gets, IGR, he put it on the board. What he gets from federal government, he put it on the board. And I will tell you what he's doing like this. For instance, he has a master plan already for education. He's going to declare emergency on education. He has a master plan for our youths. There's no data. Any government of today that is working without data is not a government. He's going to computerize all the Delta youths who have no job. And he'll be paying them 30,000 as a kind of pocket money to keep them going. And as doing that, he's establishing small and medium scale industries. As you are entering, he deletes your name. As you are entering, your name will be deleted from there. This, you will not be paid something commensurate to your qualification and whatever it is. You will be paying tax. Who do you pay tax to? To government. Government will get more, will include more. And as you are paid, you are given gainful employment, your name is deleted, and so on. This is his plan. This we will do within the first 6 months. So we at least know the total number of Deltans who are jobless, who are users. So now we are just guessing. And in fact, he believes that Deltans have the money to take education free from the primary to the university. He will revolutionize education. I said he's going to declare a state of emergency on education.
We'll come back to his projects.
Yes.
So there is this rumor making rounds that there is a shared affinity with Labour Party in Delta State. How much do you know of that? I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. As a matter of fact, I want you to know one thing. Today, the politics in Nigeria is changing. There are the politicians and there are the people. The people want to take over. We want to take back Nigeria from politicians because politicians have destroyed Nigeria. And when the people take over, they will see the difference. You see, it brings my mind to the French Revolution of 1789. You know what happened? Just the price of baguette, small bread, triggered the whole thing. And that's why it remains one of the greatest revolutions. They went to the prison here, opened the thing, and told them to come out. They call it Bastille. Because the people who were on top governing them were not better than those of them in prison. Go and see what is happening. So, yes, the people want to take over their country. Labour people want to take over.
Social Democratic Party, you should know from we're a socialist party. We want to take over our country. And so there's nothing wrong in Labour Party and Social Democratic having affinity, especially in Delta State. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's still under plausibility and possibility. Are there definite information?
Well, will I call it, there are moves and there are agreements, and we are working. And I wouldn't say, just watch out in the ensuing week, you see what is happening. Nigerians want to take over the country. Deltans want to take over Delta. So even people in diaspora and so on are working with SDP. So any group will find that there is affinity, especially the Labour Party, we will go all out. From now on, you are going to see that the Labour Party is going to say, vote for SDP, as far as gubernatorial candidate is concerned.
In specific terms, some people have compared your candidate with the Labour Party presidential candidate. In specific terms, what are the areas you think Chief Kenneth Gbagi shares affinity with the Labour presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi?
Yeah, one of them is Obi wants to turn Nigeria from a consumption economy to a production economy. That is what Gbagi wants to do in Delta State. We want to produce. We want our youths to be gainfully employed. If we put a factory, for instance, that takes people in three, what do you call it? This one is canning this. Let's take pineapple, orange, mango, that seasonal suffers. My principal is already making arrangements. As a matter of fact, he's already planning for governance. Bring a small machine, not too large, that put, and you see about 1,000 people being employed there in each local government. You see, each local government has a natural endowment. We will tap that endowment and put in the riverine areas, for instance, Brutu, Patana, and the rest of them. What stops you from making the port very, very viable? Bring trawlers that we fish and be sending. The one we can eat, we eat. The one we cannot eat, we export. Who says we cannot export and get foreign exchange? We are not getting anything in Delta cities now. We are just waiting to share from revenue. What are we exporting? Cassava, yams, all this. Like I said, each local government has an endowment. We will go into it. Look at Asaba. Asaba Onitsha will be brought closer to us in Delta. All those massive lands all over the state, we will establish small and cottage industries. People will be working, selling. Look at cucumber, for instance. Cucumber, anywhere you grow it, there's nobody who does not eat cucumber now. It has become so popular. And of course, China is their food. Anywhere plant it, there's one to slice, there's one to can, there's another to shift. When a young man has worked from maybe 7 to 5 p.m., another one takes over from 5 p.m. to whatever time. Another one takes from morning. Do you think there will be time for criminals? They'll be tired, so crime will be reduced. The Yahoo will be reduced systematically. You think it's everybody who is doing Yahoo who really would have wanted it? That is the problem. So that kind of affinity, turn him, and then the pensioners. How will somebody retire, a senior citizen? You are telling the person's story. It's fiendish. It's unacceptable. So first, like I said, from a consumption economy to a production economy. That's the old Delta. And Gbagi knows that best. He's giving the argument. In fact, he doesn't want to release all his baggage so that people don't go and start copying, because they will spoil it. But he has ideas. We discuss with him. He tells you, look at Abavo and the Ayams. They can return to flame. Every year they spoil, people rush, and the thing is not there. The farm's there. Mechanized farming is the in thing. Put people, youths will enjoy it. They wear coat and they are driving their tractors farming. It's not impossible in Delta State. Airlines, what about airlines? With arrangement, when you talk of airlines, you don't really need your money to buy all. You can lease, and then you have a percentage with foreign powers, and then they come expand Warri and Asaba Airport. And what stops us from flying direct from Asaba to London? It's possible. Look at the business hub in the east. Those people who travel and so on with the rough road, they prefer to fly cargo, but they make sure they are going straight. They drop, they move to Onitsha. Business Delta will be booming. But the people who are there now, that's not what they are thinking. They are thinking of how to share the money. Sharing of money, booty. They are not thinking of our children and our children's children. They are just thinking of today. Our Delta State has become a dynasty where you finish, you hand over to your son. It's unacceptable.
That's it, sir. Earlier, you talked about, for instance, road patronage as leaning specifically on who you know in government dictating how most of these infrastructures are deposited in. What ideally do you think? Some say, for instance, the Asaba-Ogeli road having tarried this long is scandalous. What do you think?
If there's any word more than scandalous, in fact, I'm short of words to describe it. It's unheard of that succeeding governments cannot complete Asaba to Ogeli dualization. Each time I applied there, I was there yesterday, it passed from that junction where there is perennial hold up at Isoko Junction. You say, here, you go. Then as you are going, at times one side will be blocked because the other side that they have not touched is already out of use. Then there's stress on the little portion that is already there. That is irresponsibility of government. It's irresponsibility. And I expected my brother, who is a roadmaster, to have made a difference. Unfortunately, he has not done so. Last year, I went for my academic association conference at Ebonyi. Precisely, was their capital, Abakaliki. Ebonyi used to be described as one of the backward states. Those of us from Igbo speaking Ebonyi, when you see somebody from Ebonyi, you see him as a bush. When I got to Abakaliki, I'm telling you, at night we were going to snap pictures in Abakaliki. And when we got to Asaba, people started cursing Okowa. They say, with all the money is getting. Abakaliki, let anybody travel to Abakaliki and come back. Asaba is like a village. It's sad enough. It's sad enough. So, we hope that Deltans, Your Excellency, Olorogu Kenneth Bagi, will take over Delta State and they will see the difference.
2023 election is a strategic election, an all-important election, both at the national and at the sub-national. Yeah. A lot is packed into it. Our survivor is on it. There are still some electorates who are still sitting on the fence, who still do not understand the ramification of what is at stake. Yeah. What is your advice to Deltans? Some of them who have not come to terms with the ramification of what is at stake in 2023.
Yeah. You know, we have a problem. I see two problems there from my own perspective. One is that the people are so gullible. The second side is poverty of the mind. You know, yeah, the poverty of the mind, you are never satisfied. You believe that if you leave this situation, oh, you are going to die. So some of them prefer being beggars, errand boys. Huh? You know, each time the governor comes to Delta State University, and I see the so-called students, I remember what we used to have students, you know what they do? They are more politicians now than the people in government. You just hear, you are a leader, you are a leader, and they are looking for money. The governor drops, grrr, they go and share, they are satisfied. They are agents. They use, even cult boys are now government thugs. It's unfortunate. It is more than that. People have become very myopic. They should think of tomorrow. And they should remember the Chinese proverb that said, instead of giving me fish every day, you make me a fisherman. If they do that, then they will want people like Bagi who will make them fishermen and who will turn Delta around and make it the industrial hub of Nigeria. So my appeal is that, well, what we need is voter education. We continue to educate the people. It will take a long time because the gullibility of the people, even the so-called educated people. And there's an element of selfishness too. People want to maintain the status quo anthem. They don't want to come now. And that's why you find they keep on, refurbishing, rotating the same kind of old people from one government or another. And when you are in government, you want to plant somebody who will hold brief for you, and so on and so forth. Even when you are corrupt, they cover it, and so on and so forth. Appointments are not done by merit. I've been in Delta State University. The last time interview was conducted for appointment, I can remember. Now it is IMM. This politician has brought a name, even for admission. So corruption is getting everywhere, even for admission. A name has to come. If there is vacancy, advertise it. Let everybody compete. But this is not it. So because of that, people now want also to associate. So they give you the impression that if you don't associate, you remain poor. But there are still a few people. Like I've always, if you are contented in life, you will not mind that. Bagi is a contented man. But like I said, it's altruistic. So it's coming to governance, it is government money for the good of man. It is this altruistic nature and self-satisfaction that has attracted me to him, because I believe in that. Myself, I believe that whatever God has given me, I'm happy with it. Thank you.
Speaking of contentment, sir, as I draw it back home, Chief Kenneth Bagi got a lot of establishments in Warri specifically, and some have argued, like the Delta State Commissioner for Information, at a time posted that he runs things aground, while others have argued that it is the responsibility of the state government to ensure an effective business environment. How would you just oppose what?
No. You see, that's the problem. The man, I don't see what they mean by he runs things aground. He's not running any government enterprise. And the small time he had a stint of government, he was Minister of State for Education. He took a for instance that we now have Federal University of Take FUPRI. He brought them, bringing it to the people. You know, he did not put FUPRI in Oginibo. He did not carry a toolkit to give Oginibo, unlike what some are already doing. The Omagege, the little things he has, they're all in, what is that village? Orogu, and so on and so forth. No, he's a very cosmopolitan man. He's exposed. He's not running anything like that. All the Robinson Plaza is still on. Nothing is wrong with it. It's going. This signatures is on. Yes, it's not booming as it ought to boom because, the airport has an influence on that. He built it at international standard. And so people, when the airport was viable, customers were there. But I've stayed there several times. It's still booming. People are still there. Why people are still working for him? You go to the one in Abuja, it's booming. You go to the one in Lagos, it's booming. His security outfit is functioning. His oil outfit is functioning. So what does it by running a grant? Those of them who are government, who are running government down and killing people. The people working for Bagi are still working and they are paid. And I know that in Bagi, he's a solid businessman. Every 10 kobo, you account for it. And that is how he's going to handle government money. He has financial sagacity. So what do them by running something like grant? Out of all of them running, let them tell us what they have. Let them even have and run it at grant. They have nothing nothing on ground. Some of them were pushing their cars before they became politicians. They know themselves. So what have they got to tell Baggy? Baggy is a great man. He's a great Deltan who has employed so many Deltans. He's even competing with government. They should even give him an award.
Lastly, sir, I know you are in SDP, but since Labour Party is mentioned, though you don't want to lead us into what is in that relationship note, we keep that for when you're ready to let us know. Yeah. Some people feel Labour Party is on paper, it makes no effect, especially some in Delta State still have that impression. From the much you know, how do you see the Obi movement?
Those who think so are under hallucination. They should know that the style has changed. They are still living in the past, thinking that it must be the old way of doing things. Whether you like it or not, social media has a lot of effect on people. Don't you believe it? Social media they still think, and let me tell you, most of them that you see, they hire crowd. You should know, you are a journalist. They hire crowd. When they are going, all their people, if they are going to Anambra, for instance, they make sure that most of them from this troop there, they pay them. Is that what we let me tell them that the politics of Nigeria has changed. Like I told you, people want to take back their country from the politicians who are wicked and who want to perpetuate what they have and their position. They don't want to relinquish power. And you know, I told you this now dynasty. Look at all over the place. I finish, I give my daughter, I give my son, I give my wife, and so on. I'm not saying that if your son or daughter is qualified, you cannot. But where I intimidate opponent A, don't step down for my daughter, step down for my son, step down for my wife. Something is wrong there. The truth of the matter is that the politics has to change. The only thing that is constant is change. So change has come. They don't expect that the politics of yesterday should be the politics of today. The only thing that is constant is change. The dynamics of politics. So anybody thinking that a Labour Party is only in the air. Yeah, sorry. Anybody who thinks that Labour Party does not exist, or they have not, what is a structure? At the time, at the appropriate time, they will know. If there's any party that has even structure, that has human beings who are, but did you not hear of the demonstration at Okowa? Could Okowa stop it? And yet you say they have nothing on ground. At the appropriate time, it is between you and your ballot paper. Provided they allow the BVS to work, they will know that Labour Party is on ground. They will know that Obi is the God-chosen president of this country.
Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to seeing how optimism and narrative translate to victory for your candidate and principal at the polls.
Thank you very much.